first moved to Los Angeles, I thought I knew what I was getting into. But within the first few months of moving here, I realized that there were a lot of things that no one had bothered explaining to me beforehand. Things about the cost of living, the way the city works, and the culture around creative work. So in this video, I'd like to share the 7 things I wish I knew before moving to LA. Not to discourage anyone from coming here, but to give a clearer idea of what living in the city is actually like. Everything is more expensive. The first thing I really wish I understood was how expensive everything in LA really is. And I know people always say this and it sounds like an exaggeration. It's not. But when you actually start living here, you realize it's not just the rent. It's the groceries, it's the coffee, it's the parking, it's the gas, and the random daily expenses. All those things, yeah, they add up quick. Case in point, just this week, gas cost me $6 a gallon. $6 a gallon. It's March. And yeah, there are some global things going on, but whenever global things are going on, they hit this city in the pocket very hard. Gas prices are actually one of the reasons why I continue to drive a motorcycle in Los Angeles. I have coworkers who spend over $150 a week to fill up their car. The city is not easily navigated. When I first moved here, I didn't have my motorcycle. I used public transit. I used the buses and I used the trains that are available here. Now, coming from living in Manhattan, I was very used to using public transit and it was very efficient there. It is not as efficient in Los Angeles. There are some bus routes that stop running by 9 p.m. Right now, they're making big moves to make city transit more easy, mostly because of the 2028 Olympics coming to town. I already know it's not going to be better. They're building a gondola. Do you know how slow a gondola is? They're slow, man. Speaking of slow, the trains also run incredibly slow here. I've never understood why. And when I say slow, I mean they're running slow on the track. A lot of times I feel like I could run beside the train and get to my destination at the same time. I'm used to trains in New York whipping by. The whole point of having a track and being the only train on it heading in one direction is to go faster. Someone should talk to whoever's running the metro to get them to run faster. Put your foot on the pedal, man. Let's go. But if you're trying to get places within a reasonable time using public transit, you need to be out of your house at least 2 hours early to get there on time, because there is always something going on with the transit. It may not be working, there could be an accident, there could be an incident on your transit line. So you have to plan ahead. And then you think, well, I'll just get a car. If you're someone who is navigating the city, yeah, you probably do want to have your own vehicle. Why? Because you don't have to sit next to strangers who smell like you do on the metro. And you can listen to your own music as loudly as you want to, or have a conversation with family and catch up. The thing about having a car is the damn traffic. Traffic is going to get you every time, especially when you're navigating the city around rush hour times, the work hours. A lot of times out here, people do not live close to where they work, so they have really long commute times. So those are other things to kind of keep in mind. Things look like they're close, but you always have to account for traffic here. And that takes a lot of wind out of people's sails once they are experiencing it. And the traffic honestly probably has a lot to do with the road rage that I see on the streets daily. Crime looks different depending on the neighborhood. When people think of crime in big cities, especially crime in LA, they often think about the TV shows that they see. I used to think of 90s gangster rap feuds and like gangs that I would see on television, and you would think, oh, that's the crime out here. That's not really how it works. First of all, I want to dispel the idea that crime only happens in certain neighborhoods. That's just not true. Crime happens in every neighborhood. It's just the types of crime that vary amongst the neighborhoods. Case in point, my motorcycle was almost stolen quite a few times. But the funny thing is, it was never almost stolen in the neighborhood I was living in. It was always in the neighborhoods that I worked in. I worked in Burbank. On this particular occasion, I had to get a tow because they weren't smart enough to steal my bike efficiently and they damaged my ignition. So I had to have my bike towed to the nearest neighborhood. I decided since my coworker lived closer, I would have it towed to Hollywood. When I got to Hollywood, I put a wheel lock on the bike to make it harder, and just in case the people who tried to steal it the first time followed me to the next location. Ding, 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 ding. They did follow me to the next location, and they tried to steal my bike again in Hollywood, in front of my friend's guarded community. She literally had front desk workers and security at her building, and someone still tried to swipe my bike there further damaging it because they tried to force it with the wheel lock on. Also, in 2020, there were a string of violent thefts that happened in Beverly Hills. Road rage, huge thing out here. Hollywood, pickpocketing, getting held up. Crime happens everywhere. If you're going to live here, you need to look at the crime map or use these apps like Citizen or the Neighborhood app to find out what kinds of crimes you need to be aware of in the neighborhood that you think you want to live in. And another note, when you're moving out here, if you're thinking about moving to a particular neighborhood or a particular street, don't just go to the spot during the daylight hours. Everything looks better in the daylight. You have to go to these neighborhoods at night to see what the nightlife looks like around your neighborhood. It can be night and day sometimes. Little pun. Networking matters more than what you know. Another thing that became very clear to me about living in LA is that relationships matter a lot. Of course, your skills matter, yeah, but your opportunities typically come from people you meet along the way. This might mean attending creative events, meeting people through shared projects, or just simply creating genuine connections over time. Because the creative industries here are often built around communities. I myself have gotten many opportunities because of friends, former colleagues, or acquaintances. It's not that uncommon at all. I always try to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward and leaving a good impression on people, because you will not get recommended for jobs if you are someone that people do not want to be around. So if you don't have a great personality, you might want to start working on that, because it matters. People can be flaky. Another thing you'll notice pretty quickly out here is that people can be a bit flaky. Plans change, meetings get pushed, projects that sound promising don't always materialize. It's just a part of the rhythm of the city. A lot of people are just kind of juggling multiple projects and opportunities at once. So learning not to take things personally becomes very important. I have friends and acquaintances who work in the industry, and we're different types of artists. Some of us are more similar types of artists, but trying to organize a dinner or a meetup can feel like brain surgery sometimes, just depending on the ebbs and flows of everyone's schedule. It doesn't mean that people aren't genuine in their friendships towards you. It just kind of means that, you guys aren't in sync at the minute, but you'll get back to each other if the friendship or the relationship is solid. And then, of course, you have people who are just flaky. They flake on everything. And the sooner you kind of suss this out about the individual, you'll adjust and act accordingly. Be careful with trade for trade. Another thing I wish I had been more thoughtful about early on would be doing trade for trade collaboration. In creative communities, you'll hear this a lot. People offering to exchange services. And sometimes these collaborations can be really meaningful. And sometimes they can become situations where your time and effort are not valued equally. So if you do trade work, it's important to be intentional. Ask yourself, does the exchange truly benefit both sides? You guys have seen in the past on my channel that I have often worked with models. They jump in my videos, and in exchange, they get some photos to add to their portfolio. Patience and fortitude. You're gonna need both. The final thing I wish I understood more clearly is that building a life in Los Angeles as a creative requires patience. A lot of people arrive expecting things to happen quickly, but creative careers rarely move that way. Opportunities take time. Skills take time. Relationships take time. And sometimes the city will test your persistence. But if you stay committed to your work and continue developing your craft, those years aren't wasted. They're a part of the process of becoming the creator you want to be. Moving to Los Angeles as a creative can be an incredible experience. The city is full of artists, thinkers, and people trying to build something meaningful. But living here also requires awareness, understanding the realities of the city, protecting your creative energy, and having the patience to keep going even when progress feels slow. Because the truth is, Los Angeles doesn't create the work for you. But if you stay committed to your craft, it can become a place where your work slowly evolves to become something stronger. If you're someone that's thinking about moving to LA, what's your creative field? All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you gained some valuable insights to moving to LA, and I will see you in the next one. All right, y'all. Peace.